Welcome back to the 1216 podcast. This is 12 again, doing another tier list. I enjoy doing these one hell of a lot. And what's going to happen is I'm going to run down some of the saddest moments in One Piece history. Um, we don't have, it's anime only, so should be no spoilers. But it might be some realizations for the most part. All right, so starting off at number one, we have, of course, the famous Shanks Your Arm when Shanks saves Luffy from the Sea King that was lurking around in the East Blue. As Luffy gets thrown off and he finally gets his devil fruit by the bandits, and Shanks scoops in to save his life and sacrifices his own arm to do so. This is also where we've seen the first sighting of what it means to be a hockey user, as he looked at the dragon with fierce eyes and used his conqueror's hockey ability to just send that dragon's tail between his legs, running away. Sorry, not dragon, but the Sea King. Seeing the Sea King just run away. This was an emotional moment because we first got to see it when it happened, and then how it, you know, the trickle effect to it. A lot happened because his arm was gone. Shanks is still a crazy beast. Um, he got the Guild Darks effects as well, but still overly powerful. This comes in as I want to say S tier for me. Starting off, very good emotional, very good with emotions, and then the way what led up to this backstory. Not led up, what led up to this arm being taken away, and just everything that played out for it. Seeing Shanks himself, um, care so much for Luffy, gotta be my first S tier. All right, up next we have Shushu, which is the dog, that was protecting his owner's shop, and this was a pretty good moment. We seen Buggy and his crew come to town finally, and they're rampart and everything. And Moji goes to not Moji, I think it was Moji. He goes to go destroy with the dog with his beast tamer Moji. Goes to destroy and just lurk around, and his lion gets hungry and looks at a pet shop, but Shushu stands in front of it and doesn't want anything to happen to that pet shop at all. This is easily an A tier. It can be easily S tier, bottom tier S for me, but for the sake of right now, it's an A tier. This was such a good moment. The backstory for it was pretty touching to see. So I love Shushu. He was there to protect not only his legacy from his owner, but also protect the Straw Hats as they got away from the angry crowd that thought that they beat up the mayor. Even though Luffy did beat the mayor's ass, they didn't destroy the town. That was all because of Buggy. We have easily one of the best S tier moments with Zoro declaring to his captain that he would never lose again, and that he will become the greatest swordsman the world has ever known. This comes right after on the Baratier, um, his clash with Mihawk. Mihawk was just cruising around, minding his business. Came up to the Baratier because he was looking for people to beat up, and then ended up winning the clash with Zoro because Zoro wanted to see if he could test his skills, and Mihawk acknowledged him from that. And from that acknowledgement, Zoro, of course, lost in defeat to Mihawk's famous Black Blade. One slice, scars on the swordsman back is not honorable at all. And from that point on, Zoro got the respect for Mihawk, um, Sanji, the crew, anybody who didn't respect Zoro before then respected him from that moment on because they see the passion that he holds behind wanting to be the greatest swordsman and never giving up on his captain. Up next, we have a B tier. I don't really care too much for the moment. But it was nice to see that Sanji wanted to just say his farewells and thank Zeph, everything that Zeph has done for him. Um, to get up out of there, Sanji was going to go pursue his dreams of searching for the all blue and all the cooks. It was a very emotional moment. I did enjoy it a lot, but it was a B tier for me. It was just a send off party. They were sending them off in style, thanking Zeph again and all the chefs for always being there for them. And I really did enjoy it though. A comeback area of another A tier moment, a high A tier moment at that. Let me just move it over there. Nami and Arlong, the backstory for Nami and just how. Oh, no, sorry. Now we have Bellamy and Arlong. Just before Arlong shot Bellamy because she couldn't pay up the exact amount, and how Bellamy was a Marine and wanted to go up against Arlong and just what Arlong stood for. Right before Arlong shot Bellamy, she sent off and made sure that Nami and Nojiko could have the money to still be, able to be citizens there. Bellamy was amazing. Bellamy, hands down, was just what it embodied to be a protective mother. Even though she wasn't their mother, she took them in. Everything was great from there. I I really wish we got to see more of Bellamy, but we got to see just enough, so I'm cool with that. Easy high A for me when it comes to that though. But another S tier that we have is the famous "Help Me" scene from Nami. And yes, I'm putting this in between the Zoro and Shanks. It was like that because this is when we got to see our navigator actually be set free, and our navigator actually moving towards creating her own goals for herself. As she went on to pursue her life ambitions of drawing the world's greatest map. This is when we realized Nami wanted to break free but couldn't. Something that she wanted to do for a long time now to get back at Arlong for killing Bellamy. And when Luffy seen that, he put the straw hat on her head, told her we got this, and this created the famous walk scene that we all know and love to this day. Up next, we have another B tier coming in. It is Laboon's backstory. Laboon, part of the Rembar Pirates, was like their little mascot that traveled around with them, but stayed at the Red Line because they told them that they'll be back for them, even though they got defeated and all ended up passing away. Um, this is Brooks' first crew that he was with. Brooke was not the captain with it, but it was such a touchy moment. I put this as a high B tier. Laboon, as we know, I hope we see again soon because Brooke has to keep that promise, and so does Luffy to come back and see him. So I can't wait for that. Next we have Dr. Harlequax's backstory of Chopper and just how uh, this was amazing to me. Chopper hated by everybody they came across, his own kind, hated by humankind. Anything he transformed into that didn't hate him because they thought he was always different because of his blue nose or that he was a hairy beast monster. Um, except for one person who believes inside him, and Dr. Harlequin really looked out for Chopper, teaching him medicine, teaching him how to be, strong and independent because he knew he was going to die one day. But he wanted to make sure that he can send him off with a bang with cherry blossoms, and how cherry blossom was supposed to be the ultimate healing herb. This is why we get the famous cherry blossom scene at the end of it because um, as Chopper's send off will, they set off a huge cannon of cherry blossoms outside of the Drum Kingdom Islands capital kingdom, and sent off Chopper in the best way possible. And that'll go right behind it for me. As a low A tier as well. It was an amazing moment to see that we got to see Chopper connect with his backstory and just how um, joining the Straw Hat Pirates and meeting Luffy, he can go on to become a well-renowned doctor. I enjoyed it a lot. Um, but coming in at the S tier, we have the if you come back around, can I please join your crew or will we still be friends? With Vivi and Karu saying farewell to the Straw Hat Pirates with the X marked up on them as X symbolized friendship. Because as we all know, Bon Clay was able to change his appearance during the time. So they wrote an X on their arm, so they just knew who it was, who their friends were around it. Even though that never really came into play, um, but this scene, all in all, like it's Princess Vivi. This was one of the touching moments. Alabasta being set free. As we all know, what the Straw Hats do, they're the liberation pirates. Basically, they go liberating whatever they see fit, in whatever way that they see fit. Up next, we have Nolan the Liar. His backstory was pretty nice to see as well. I'll put it as a C tier. One of my favorite arcs, of course, is Skypiea, but we got to see Nolan the Liar's backstory and just how he traveled to Skypiea and it was a golden bell and it was a city of gold that existed for him and nobody believes him at all. Um, except for, his brother and then the monkeys, of course. Um, they believed inside him, and that's why they kept diving into the water, trying to find the gold and stuff like that. But uh, this was a good moment in One Piece. Not a great moment, but a good moment in One Piece. Just to see the backstory of somebody and just knowing that they get executed for just lying. He had a great backstory, connects with the Shandorans, how he was a very powerful and strong man. I think he was more along the lines of Roger, starting off as an adventurer, that turned into a pirate a little on down the line because they can distinguish which was which for the most part. And speaking of liars, we get to Usopp and Luffy's famous fight where Sanji kicks Luffy right in the face and tells him not to say what he's going to say. But Usopp understood what was going to be said, and Zoro even says, like, stays out of it as well. So Nami is looking on, trying to get them to stop. He says, stay out of it. And this is when they fight over because the Going Merry is dying. Um, and they have to get it fixed and get a new ship. But Usopp doesn't want to believe inside that. He believes that, oh well, if you're just going to kick to the side, um, your friends like the Going Merry, then what's the point of us even being friends with one another if that's all you're going to do? Uh, this was a very touching moment to me. This is easily a high B tier for me moment. Um, I keep it mid class for right now, only because of just how we go by everything, how it is. It's a nice B tier, high B tier for me. It could be low A. Yeah, it could be low A for me, but great moment nonetheless. This set up a lot of things that trickle down the line. Even the great fight between Usopp and Luffy, when Usopp we had to see his full arsenal on deck, but he knew how to beat Luffy. Still didn't matter though. Now we get to see the famous backstory of Nico, Robin, Demon Child escaping from O'Hara that just got blasted away, and that's a high A for me on that list. O'Hara, the scholars, that island was just the island that loved to read, full of architects, archaeologists, and the archaeologists would just sit there, or do their thing, and learn about the history of One Piece and the One Piece world. The Void Century came up. When they got to know too much, they had to get annihilated and wiped off with a Buster Call. But Admiral Akiji at the time, aka Kuzan, put down the ice wall, and left a little raft for Robin to go down. After Admiral Aokiji at the time had to freeze his own friend Jaguar D Saul and make it look like that he killed him. I think Saul might still be alive, because just he froze him. He didn't kill him, but he did freeze him to death. So I'm hoping that we do see Saul again, but I highly doubt it. Um, like Saul could be a member of Sword or something like that, and Kuzan can be as well. But when like is we'll see when we get down that line if that ever comes up. But I love this moment. This moment was touching for me because we got to see just Robin setting free, which led to us getting Robin to realize that she does want to live because people do care about her. She's not just a demon child. People genuinely care about her, which led to a high A tier I want to live scene. This is when this is a low S for me. I feel like that. The declaration of war from the Straw Hat Pirates on the Royal government when Soka King sniped down, put the started burning the flag for the symbol of justice, the Marines, and it set off it set off what it meant that the crew was ready to take on the world to protect their own. Looks like we have now. This is the Usopp returning back to the ship. Low, a high C for me. Usopp returning back to the ship after leaving it. He apologized for everything, and but he got to reunite with everybody, of course. Later on down the line, I mean, it's a touching scene. It is what it is. Welcome back, Usopp. Then we have the Going Merry Land Rest. Easy S tier. If you think it's not, something wrong with you. Um, the Going Merry is when we had to lay her down to rest when we got Thousand Sunny. It was a fitting send off as the Going Merry rescued the crew one last time before having to be burned at sea. Um, and you can even see a tear coming down the Going Merry's eye, possibly. Um, but this the Going Merry was definitely one of my favorite ships in all of One Piece because we started off with her. Like this was our first ship. I mean, our first official ship. Next we have Brook's backstory. Brook's backstory is pretty nice to see. As a there you go, right there we go, right there. As a high B tier in front of Laboon, because they overlap with one another, of course. But Brook's backstory, we got to see just how he was forced to watch his crew all die in front of him one by one because of an illness that was incurable. Even though Chopper had the cure for it later on down the line, was revealed that Chopper could have made the crew for it, the cure for it, but it was already many years too late. 50 years of solitude that Brook spent by himself, always playing music, and this is actually a tier. Sorry about that, Brook. This is a high A tier. Brook, as we all know, the famous song "Bring Sake," sang it one last time with his crew as they all fell off from a quartet all the way down to a solo man act. Um, and it was like that. It was a really touching moment. And actually, yeah, I'll keep Bellamy as a mid A. All right. Next we have the I couldn't even save my friend scene. This is when Luffy realized that their crew was not strong enough and they needed to go train to become stronger if they wanted to survive in the new world. This is when they were on Saba Odi for the first time, and Kuma realized that they needed to train as well. Bartholomew Kuma um, used the fruit of the pawpaw fruit, the power of the pawpaw fruit, to send all of the straw hats flying. Um, I believe that. Well, it's not a believe. We all should know that um, this happened because Kuma the Tyrant is a part of the Revolutionary Army, and Dragon is being the leader. This is Dragon's son, so I'm gonna make sure that Dragon's son and his friends get set off to become stronger and actually have a chance to survive inside this world. This is easily an S tier for me, S tier moment. This is the realization that they're not strong enough. They can't do it by themselves, and it was very hard for them to even try to compete with what was going on in the new world without getting stronger. So this led to our 2 year time skip later on down the line as it came up. After that, we have Bond plays famous send off for the impel down prisoners as well as Luffy, one of the greatest friends that a guy could ask for. Bond Clay sacrificed himself to Magellan the Warden just so he can set them free and they can have a way to get out. This is easily a high A tier for me. I love Banquet. What amazing emotional roller coaster ride that they have for this. But that led to probably my number one S tier, Ace's death. Ace, being Ace, survived as long as he did and lived his life to the full. It's such a tragedy seeing Ace go away. If you've been around a long time, you know how I feel about Ace. One of my favorite characters, if not tied for first place for me inside of the entire show, along with Zoro. So is Whitebeard's death, but Whitebeard's on the opposite end for me. I'll put him at a low S tier, only because I put him at a high A tier for like the most part. High A tier, behind the going to be behind this famous scene from Bon Clay, setting them free. Ace and Whitebeard did everything they could at Marineford, try to stay alive, but because Whitebeard told them all to leave, this led to Ace being called a chicken, a scaredy cat, and all kind of stuff like that by Sakazuki, and because of that, Ace's pride wouldn't let him talk bad about Whitebeard at all. So he turns around to go back and fight against him. He gets burned, and then he gets a donut. The famous donut that we all know that people love talking about. We get Ace's donut. It is what it is. I'm glad we get more of him still, that we did get more of him throughout the story, especially in Stat Wino. Then we have Sabo's death, which is a mid A tier for me. This is Sabo's death. Um, when Sabo was setting out to sea, he was the first one to officially leave ASL. Ace, Sabo, and Luffy, the three brothers, realizing that there was another brother inside the crew was amazing to see. But to see him go so early, as we all know, was very tragic. And we got that right after we seen the death of course, Ace. So now we have Luffy believing that both his brothers are both going for him. Now we have Luffy's famous. I have my crew. Those are the ones that he's gonna make sure that he protects and loves and cherishes. Because now that Ace is gone, he has to really realize that life can come at you really fast, and if you're not prepared, you can lose people in an instant, especially if you're not strong enough. So realizing what the crew can do, how he's gonna live on for Ace's will, and just continue to push to become the king of the pirates. Luffy himself realizes that, and this comes in as a high B tier moment for me. It's such an emotional moment though. This moment led a lot. This is moments a high A tier behind Bond plays. This moment lasted so much. This moment was really like that. Like we really can see the passion that Luffy wanted behind his crew, and a passion just for him wanting to protect the crew as well. I really enjoyed this arc for Marine Ford, but it was just like, man, like it's time for us to grow up and grow stronger, and we had to do it somehow, somewhere, one way or another. I wish they would have put here instead of this moment. We would have probably got the moment where he rang the bell 16 times around the laps, um, and just declaring that he was like that. But this did lead up to that moment. But I'll leave it here right now. Um, One Piece is a very emotional roller coaster for me. And anybody who watches it, I know you're gonna laugh, you're gonna cry, you're gonna dance, whatever emotion is going through, you're gonna feel. If you're not, then you're not really a One Piece. Next, we have the Don punching Garp. This is a nice high beats here for me. The Don pretty much raised Luffy, Ace, and Sabo ish from when they were kids, and the Don goes out of her way to just truly be. Don goes out of her way for all of them to show them that she doesn't care for them, but we all know she does. And when she realizes that Ace died and Garp was there, of course, Garp couldn't interfere inside that. Garp was tore up. She punches him repeatedly and cries, cries, cries. This moment was pretty good to have as a high beat tier for me. I won't put it over this one. I don't know why I did that. I'm not putting it over the Usopp scene just yet. Because this set off what it meant to be captain, and what it meant to be captain. This all trickled down to the effect of that high B, but the Don seeing the Ace died and Garp didn't even try to save him. It's not that he didn't try to; he couldn't save him. Was there really hurt? Next, we have Fisher Tiger. Um, this is a high C tier for me. But Fisher Tiger, was enslaved. He set the slaves free, and the Sun Pirate for the most part. Created the Sun Pirates because he didn't want to see anybody get hurt anymore. It could be a lot behind it, a lot more to it because that name Sun Pirate. I mean, we all know who the Sun God is and all this stuff, but the Sun Pirates are pretty cool to see. It was them being signed, set free basically, and they got stamped on them the Sun Pirate logo. And Fisher Tiger embodied what it meant to just be a freedom fighter, and his death had to come to it the legacy to live on stronger. Like Fisher Tiger had to die as well as Queen Otahime. Queen Otahime and Fisher Tiger are similar to one another because they just wanted to be seen as equals with everybody inside the world, and just looked at as no different. And Queen Otahime's death as well comes into it as a low B for me. High C for Fisher Tigers, but low B for this one. Actually, they're both C's. I put them at both high C's. Queen Otahime's death. When she passed away, she gave the pinky out, and they all her kids. This comes in before we get the whole Princess Shirahoshi locked away because of Vanderdectin type thing. Because Vanderdectin didn't have the obsession to want to marry Princess Shirahoshi just yet until after he saw her during the time, which is why Princess Shirahoshi couldn't go to the funeral of her own mother because she was locked away, being safe from Vanderdeckin. Otihime got the petitions all signed out and was ready to go, and then Forty actually shot her, but blamed it on a human, and the human just he wanted to make sure that neither Fisher Tiger nor Princess Queen Otohime's legacy lived on. And what I mean by that is that he didn't want to see humans and fishmen coexisting with one another. He wanted it to always be, a battle, a rivalry. We're a superior species, so I should be on the same playing level as humans. Um, but yeah, this feels he made death C tier. It was really nice to see though. Not the death, but nice to see the flashback of just how both of these were tied into one another. Next, we have Punk Hazard's Mocha. Mocha is the big child that was eating the candy, and when Caesar was creating the Caesar was creating a serum, I guess, if you want to call it, um, to make sure that the kids grow bigger. But they started off as little kids, and they grew bigger and bigger and bigger in size to become like mini giants. And that was his whole plan behind it. Try to get them to go out there and truly create a army inside his sense, which comes in as a high B tier for me. Um, because this is when she stopped eating the candy and sacrificed herself. When she sacrificed herself to show, when Chopper realized that, hey, this candy is hurting you guys, is not helping you, which is keeping you here when you can be going back to your family already. When once that was realized, she stopped eating it, started coughing up blood because she needed her fix. She needed her candy. The candy was obviously what was keeping her as a giant, but keeping her there as being sick. So we get Mocha saving up there high B tier. Next, we get one of my mid A tiers. I'll put it right in front of Brooke's backstory. This is Lucy, aka Luffy, at Dressrosa, finding out that he does have his other brother, Sabo, back in action. As we all know, Sabo was supposed to be dead from a kid, but was saved by Dragon and raised as a Revolutionary Army member, and came up as the second in command that just showed his face up there to take on the mantle to take the Nomi back into their family of the ASL family and keeping that fruit and that wheel living on forever. Next, we have Rebecca's mother and father here, and this is when the mother was killed and Soldier, but Rebecca's father, um, I brung her around. She died in her arms without even remembering that she had a husband. Because once you turn to a toy, your memories of that person and everybody thought of you is now erased. This comes in as a low C for me. I really didn't care too much for it. It was a good backstory to see though, but it was nice to see that did get Princess Rebecca's backstory for her parents. Next, we have a nice mid A tier. I'm not gonna put it in front of this one right here, but it's Law's backstory when Law was just crying his butt off, but Corazone's fruit was the mute fruit, and he kept him quiet about it. And Corazon ended up dying to Doflamingo getting shot up in front of Law as Law got the op fruit to basically figure out how to heal his own diseases. This was a great backstory seeing Kid Law like this, as as destroyed as he can be, um, watching his mentor figure get killed in front of him. It was very hard and emotional roller coaster for Law during that time. And then this, of course, is who we all know to be Roshinado. Don Quixote, Roshinado, Corazon for the most part, sat right by each other. His farewell. Law had a disease that couldn't be stopped, and then this is the death of Roshinado that came into play as well. This is what we have so far. We still have a few left to go through. Um, And speaking of our next one, we have Renosuke. It's funny that the name was Renosuke because we got to see Momonosuke become a pink dragon, and this was a pink dragon. This dragon was drawn by Kanjuro. Um, as we all know, during this time, we didn't know what Kanjuro. We thought Kanjuro was just part of the nine. Um, and when it was there to help, this dragon did everything it could to fly up the skin scale Zoe to get the crew to the top of Zoe and did its best to do it. Really did enjoy watching this go up there, but I mean, it's just a funny thing to me. I'll put it at a low C tier. Nice to know that we did get to see the dragon make it to the top though, as the crew cheered them on to keep going, pushing through. Next we have Don Quixote family and how they were exiled for the most part. Don Quixote family being exiled, they didn't care for their title royalty. But the person who did care, of course, was Doflamingo. He cared about it, which but his parents dying, um, him wanting to be royal. Where's all of our servants? I mean, it's a D tier for me. I really didn't care too much about that part of it. It wasn't that emotional for me. Um, it was good to see though that we got to see Dolphy's backstory and Roshinato's backstory, and just how the Don Quixote family gave up their title just to be commoners and push forward through there. Another C tier, I would put a B tier. Low B would be the backstory for Sanji. Sanji had one hell of a childhood. He was locked away. He was different from his brothers and sister. He didn't have the full ability of the German double six scientists wanted him to have, which considered him to be a failure, which led to him being locked away in the basement to have a mask on his face. To be he's hidden away from society. That way he doesn't ruin the Vince Mo good name. That led to a lot of different events and seeing the family as they all came back. We got to see Sanji actually leaving the crew at this point now, and not wanting to be a part of it because he didn't want to be a burden to them after we just seen what happened to fucking Robin. Like, bro, really? You just told Robin not to worry about it, but then you go and do the same exact shit. Like, it doesn't make sense. You have a crew for a reason. They're gonna fight with you for a reason. This is a mid C tier for me behind Nolan's backstory. This was just dumb. This is a high D for me. Like, how are you gonna tell Robin that that we're always here for you and you have to worry about anything, but then you do the same exact thing that you tell her not to worry about? Like, it just didn't make sense. Next we have him actually realizing that you know his crew cares for him and Sanji, but Sanji is conflicted with a lot of different emotions at the time being, and he just doesn't know what to do anymore. I thought this as a high C, right between these two. Um, but this is when he realizes that maybe he did fuck up, but he's trying to do things to better himself, and he gets to hear the stories of everybody going on around him, um, just telling him nonstop like, hey, you're only doing this because you're not a part of the family still. Um, but his sister Raiju is there to still support and care for him and love him, but he's just there for status for the German double sixes and the Big Mom Pirates to unite as their families. Then we have Pedro. Pedro is easily a S tier for me. Pedro, if not for Pedro, the crew would have all been captured and died. Not all of the crew, but the crew for the most part of who we had leaving the Big Mom Pirates Whole Cake Island would have been wiped out. And I'm glad we did see Pedro give himself one final act, and that act was damn sure great to see. I really did enjoy seeing Pedro just go all out as he strapped himself with all the bombs and blew himself up to protect the crew to let them get away. But then we also have that Sanji famous moment of I want to return to the crew, which again is a B tier for me because Sanji, you should never left in the first place. But over time, it did get better as you can gradually see it increasing each time. We have the death of Yashui, the father of Otama. He died with a smile on his face for a reason. He used to be a former daimyo that worked side by side with Odin, and we all know if it's not boiled, then it's not Odin, which comes up later on, not right now. But we do get to just see Yashui um, giving out and making sure that nobody knows that the plan is the plan for the samurai to rebel against the beast pirates, and how they have the crescent tattoos on them, and how he says he made it all up, it's fake, and all this stuff happened. He sacrificed himself. That was really hard to do. He didn't have to do it at all, but he wanted to make sure the plan could continue as what it is, by calling it fake to get people's attention away from them. This wasn't too big of a moment for me. I put it in D tier. Um, Hiyori just realizing that she wants to protect Otama, and just how she looks on and sees the tears in Otama's eyes as she went through all this hell that that she tried to do, protecting people and everything. But Hiyori realizing that she doesn't want to see nobody else die now, from her father to people getting hurt. This is why she took on the mantle as a Genshin, to basically be undercover, or serve as a shield. I want to say a protective shield without being noticed. She did everything she could in her power that she could do, but it just wasn't enough. And Joshua had to die still, but she felt Otama's pain as she watched on and looked at Otama as she cried away. This hit hard, but not that hard. Oda is an Oda if it ain't boiled. Odin is a nice B tier for me. Highest B tier inside that category. The moment just comes and shows that actually, I'm not gonna lie. This is a high S tier moment for me. Yeah, this goes on like mid S tier for me. Oda sacrificed himself to save his crew. He danced the night away to save his family and his town, his daimyos that he had. As being a daimyo, like he took on that mantle to just be a clown and act out towards Kaido's beast pirates. And as he did this and danced and did any challenge that came his way to overcome the obstacles, he showed that whatever he did was for his people's protection, the protection of those who were around him, to make sure that they are great, that they are good off, and not being destroyed or damaged or harmed in any type of way. He went through these trials and tribulations just to protect them all, and I did enjoy that a heck of a lot. Then we have these two will go hand in hand to me. No matter where they go, they'll be by each other. We have Nami being beat to a pulp and just telling people that she gets headbutted, that she knows that the king of the pirates will be Luffy, not Kaido, but Luffy. And as she said this, she really meant her passion behind it. This is before she got Zeus, of course. Um, and this had fire behind it. This is an easy A tier, high A for me for both of these moments, because Nami saying that, and then we're looking at Kinemon asking for help, and Luffy just knowing that he trusts his crew to know that his crew trusts him enough to know that he's going to be king of the pirates, and people he comes across knows that um, he's going to always be there for his friends, similar to how he was there for Vivi as well. He's there for Kinemon, and he told him that, yeah, I was going to help you out anyway. You're my friend. I'm going to put you on my backs now and fight for your sake. One hell of an anime. So many emotions that will send you spiraling down so many different pathways. But this is 12's tier list ranked one. Some of the best One Piece saddest moments. Um, these are the emotional moments throughout One Piece, and if you enjoyed it a lot, please make sure you hit the like button. You can make a comment down in the comment section below. Um, Let me know. Let us know. Let me and 16 know what we can do. If we can do more of these, if you guys enjoy our tier making list, we know 16 just put out one as well for the MCU. So please let us know what your thoughts are about everything. We would love to see your thoughts, your comments. Please like, subscribe, hit the notification bell so you never miss anything that we post. And go to our website as well, 1216grandfleet.com. Get some merch if you want, but also keep up to date with us where we're going. We will see you next time. 12. I'm out.